Welcome, everybody, to our second session of Israel Through Yeruham's Lens. My name is Danny Reed with the Miami Beach JCC, and I am part of the Arts and Culture and Ideas Department. And we're so pleased to be doing this partnership with, through the Greater Miami Jewish Federation, with Yeruham, our sister city, and we have a very special guest, which I want to get right to today, Ariel Pollack-Starr. She's the founding director of Lehem, and she'll speak about path-breaking activities that she and her staff does. I visited there. It's an amazing place. And we also had them at the JCC. They are very invested in culinary therapy, working with educators in the Negev and Miami, helping their communities flourish by utilizing the culinary arts for mental and physical well-being promotion, social emotional learning, and resilience building as well. So we're going to hear a lot more about this from Ariel. And Ariel, welcome, and welcome everybody else. Thank you so much for being here today.
Maybe thank you, Danny. I'll maybe just say that
sure.
I'm Debbie Golan from Atir Bamidbar in Yeruham, and we're delighted to partner again with the Miami Beach JCC through the Miami Yeruham partnership together. And what we're trying to do is really expose new and exciting developments in Yeruham, pioneering and transformative programs that people from Yeruham are initiating that we're really happy to share. And I find them inspiring and to share with our partners, our family in Miami. So Ariel is definitely one of those inspiring entrepreneurs, and her initiative is, I think, important both for Yeruham and the Negev and for our family in Miami.
Definitely.
So please, Vakasha, Ariel.
Thank you, Debbie.
Okay, great. Debbie, you're inspiring. I find you to be one of the inspiring people here in Yeruham. So hi, everyone. For those of you, I see some names here, Sarah and Barbara, who I haven't met before. So wonderful to meet you in this context. I'm going to share my screen. One sec. Okay, let me put it in present mode. Okay, can everyone see? Great. Okay. So I am coming to you from a social initiative in Yeruham called Lehem, which Danny did a great job of introducing. Danny, I see that people are still entering. Do I need to admit them, or can you do it? You guys can do it. Okay. Okay. Okay, so my name is Ariel. As you can hear from my accent, I am not native born Israeli or native to Yeruham. I'm originally from Pittsburgh. I made Aliyah about almost 10 years ago, first to Beersheba, and then made my way to Yeruham almost 9 years ago with my husband. And at the time we made Aliyah with 2 kids. Now we have 4 kids. My husband's a physician here in the Negev, and my background is primarily in social ventures and community activism and research in the realm of food, mental health, and community. I started Lehem about 5 years ago now. And it really grew out of a sense that during COVID, a lot of what was really magical about Yeruham was not accessible. One of the things that I find extremely magical about Yeruham is it's extremely, extremely diverse in almost every sense imaginable. So socially, culturally, socioeconomically, it's an extremely, extremely diverse place. And because it's also so small, so about 12,000 residents, that diversity creates a type of conversation and a lot of different meeting places that large cities that also have like similar diversity don't necessarily have the same opportunities for. So, somebody who works in the health clinic also has a kid in kindergarten with somebody who works in the supermarket. And they're going to interact in a lot of different points throughout their day. So it creates this really special dynamic where where you're constantly confronting people who are different from you and grappling with that. And when COVID hit, obviously, like everywhere else in the world, people sort of retreated to their corners, to their own homes for good reason, and stopped interacting in a face-to-face way. And the type of dialogue where people were able to see the person who was different from them and understand them, and not agree with them, but accept them for who they were, changed. And it became a dynamic that was a bit harsher. And it became a lot of people fighting on social networks, and on the internet and in WhatsApp groups and things like that. And as COVID started to sort of ebb, and it became safe to come out of our homes again, I decided that I wanted to do something which would help bring people out of their homes and start to meet each other again and interact with each other again. And because I've always had a deep connection to food, and I've worked on a lot of projects in the food space, especially like social projects, I decided that food, and particularly bread, was the tool with which to help people start interacting face to face again. And the reason why I chose bread is because it's this really amazing metaphor whereby all bread starts with flour and with water. And then as we go through the process of making it, the process can be extremely different, right? So you can make, bagels by, you have to boil them, and then you have to bake them in a certain type of oven. Whereas if you make a Moroccan bread, which is very popular here in Yeruham, called frena, then, you're putting it in an outdoor oven and you're cooking it on rocks, and it comes out totally different. And so it was this really amazing metaphor to like bring people together. So that's where we started. We started from this place of wanting to connect people in Yeruham and also outside of Yeruham around our similarities and our differences through food, through baking in particular. And we did this for the first 2 or so years. And I want to say also right from the beginning, the partnership with Miami was extremely central and integral to our work. So one of the first groups that we ever welcomed was the Miami Steering Committee. And really from that first second, the steering committee and our family in Miami and our partners in Miami have been there with us every step of the way. And it's been amazing to grow together, I would say. So we started this journey from this perspective of with this goal of community building through food. And as we started to grow and have more interest and have more groups come through, I started to look for additional facilitators and people who were able to run our programming. And what I thought would happen was that I would get a lot of response from, what we call like saftot, right? Like grandmas here in Yeruham, who are expert cooks and are used to hosting and telling their stories. And I assumed that those would be the women who would be interested in coming into our space and meeting groups and telling their stories. And what happened was that actually the people who started to call me and express interest in working together with us and facilitating programs and learning about what we were doing were primarily educators. And they were approaching this this work that we were doing from a different perspective, which was the perspective of using the kitchen really as a tool for so many different types of connection, not just between different communities, but they saw the potential. Our main facilitators saw the potential in using this tool to help reduce educational gaps in the school and to approach social emotional learning among students, which has always been a huge challenge in the Negev, where social emotional and therapeutic resources tend to be much more limited than in the center of the country. And so these educators who had, a passion for the kitchen and a passion for the education work that they were doing, started to come into our space and learn about the methods that we were using for cultural communication through the kitchen. And we started to adapt them together with our team of facilitators to build new programs for, as I mentioned, particularly for social emotional learning in school-age children. And so we were in the middle of building these programs, and then October 7th hit. And everything changed, of course. And we, all of the groups that we had been hosting, obviously were not coming. And we said to ourselves, myself and my team of facilitators, what can we do? What can be our contribution to the over 500 families who came from the Gaza border region on October 8th and the following days to Yeruham, leaving their homes and looking for a temporary home in Yeruham. So, the whole town was mobilizing. Everybody was trying to do their part. And we said, what can we do? And obviously the first thing that came to mind was, okay, we have a kitchen, we'll cook, right? And so we started cooking. What's that? Okay. So we started cooking, and then we realized, no, actually, we can offer so much more. With just a small shift, we can actually start to offer these displaced residents from the Gaza border region this program that we've been building for social emotional learning, and we can invite them into our kitchen to help process some of these difficult experiences that they've been having. And so, of course, at that moment, we turned immediately to the Miami Yeruham partnership, and the partnership helped us with an extremely generous donation in order to be able to equip our kitchen to welcome large groups of Gaza border residents, and we were able to make the necessary changes to our kitchen and bring on extra facilitators and build out our program. And within, I think it was 3 weeks from October 7th, we opened our kitchen to the Gaza border residents. And from that point forward, we have seen this incredible power of the kitchen to heal, to help with sensory regulation, to connect parents and children, to center people and remind them of their own independence. So that's sort of the shift that we have done.
Excuse me, Aria, could I just say one more sentence? I think that this experience in the community-based kitchen was so powerful because think these displaced people had left their homes behind. They were being fed food that was prepared for them either at the hotel or by the culinary queens of Yeruham in the Simmers, the Airbnb or whatever you call them. I don't know, not Airbnb, but the rooms that they had been rented out rooms.
The guest houses,
yeah. And suddenly their sense of agency and control over their lives, they were dependent. They were dependent on the surroundings. And when you can cook for yourself or bake for yourself, then you suddenly have a sense of your own agency and power. And I think that was what was so moving and important for all these displaced people. I mean, you mentioned 500 families. It means there were many more individuals involved in this because that was families. So it was really thanks to Miami.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. I think that absolutely was one of the central things that we saw. Where people leave their homes, and this is just a sweet picture of from one of our workshops that we can see here. One of the sessions that we do is about difficulties and strengths. Okay, so like weaknesses and strengths, or challenges and strengths. And one of the ways that we do it is by crafting through bread, through focaccia. So you can see here a focaccia that this is from one of the Gaza border resident sessions. And you can see that they were thinking of their home, right? When they were talking about hardships. And they immediately crafted, a little home out of corn and peppers here. And we saw so many images like this, and taught so many people how to use food as a metaphorical tool, and to sort of talk and share sometimes with things that are hard to actually say. So, for example, we had a group of, I think it was third graders, who came in to do this activity. And as third graders tend to be, they were boisterous, and they didn't seem like they were focusing on the discussion part so much, and they were messing around with each other. And then we got to the conclusion phase. So all of our programs use a task-based learning methodology, which places a lot of emphasis on the before stage as a preparation, whether it's emotional preparation or pedagogical preparation, depending on what the goal is of the particular session. The during phase, which involves repetition and a lot of sensory access. So there might be kneading or there might be chopping, and those are used to either process different emotional concepts, or if the goal is pedagogical learning, so English teaching through the kitchen, which is another aspect of our work. So when you're chopping or when you're cutting cookies over and over again, it presents the opportunity to re-encounter vocabulary or concepts that you're trying to learn about. And then the after stage, which is extremely important as well. Somebody just asked me recently, what do you do with the food after the sessions? Like, do you donate it or something like that? And I said, absolutely not. Not that there's anything wrong with donating food, but that's not at all the point of our program. The point of our program is that at the end, we have this conclusion, this summary, this place for the skills that have been gained to sink in. And the meal experience is extremely important. So in this group of third graders, they were sitting down to eat their breads, and they were sharing what they had drawn on them. And one of the most boisterous of the third graders, when it came to her turn, she had made a focaccia which looked very abstract, let's say, and it wasn't clear in the same way that, like, this picture, with the house is very clear. She said, I used the colors of the Nova because my cousin was killed there. And it was something that she was unable to communicate previously. She seemed like she wasn't even, with us in our process, but she was absolutely with us in our process. And she was absolutely experiencing her feelings and processing her feelings through that experience. I've gone a little off course here in my presentation, but I think that the examples are really important. So we've gotten to this place through this journey that I've described to you, where our goal is really to reshape the way that Israelis think about food and about cooking. So again, we are not doing cooking workshops or baking workshops where people come and they learn how to cook or they learn how to bake. They might also learn how to cook or bake. They might also pick up some neat kitchen tips along the way. But the idea is that we're using the teaching kitchen as a platform to gain other skills. So our primary goal is to gain healing, to gain resilience, to gain social emotional awareness, to gain independence, just as Debbie described. Another girl from our Gaza border groups, in a different group, again, in that extremely important after stage, in a different group at a different time, they had made cookies, and the group facilitator decided that they were going to also make tea. So she sent one of the girls to go start boiling the water and getting the tea ready, and she found the girl a minute or so later in tears, and she asked her what was wrong, and this girl, 9, 10 years old, said to her, in my kitchen, in my home, I used to make tea for myself every day before I went to school. And then, we left our home 3 months ago and I haven't made myself a cup of tea in 3 months. And I just remembered through doing this, like, that I can do it. So there's so much of that independence building, even when, we're not just talking about Gaza border residents, displaced families, even when we're talking about children of reserve officers, about elderly populations that perhaps had lost a bit of that independence, right? All kinds of different populations. So this is sort of what I was discussing before, right? Some of these challenges that we've been confronted with and that we're trying to address: the lack of mental health resources and professionals to offer sort of traditional therapy, and that's actually worsened since October 7th, because so many of those same mental health care workers have been called up for reserve duty, or their spouses have been called up for reserve duty, and so the capacity has decreased while the demand has increased. The societal fraction issues that we had during COVID seemed like they went away at the beginning of the war, and now they're back and stronger than ever. I don't think that's surprising to anyone. And then this real puzzle of these overworked and undervalued social servants who are really on the front lines, and they're teachers and they're social workers, and they're the ones who are meeting these children every day, meeting the elderly every day in the case of social workers, and they're really lacking tools and enrichment and support. And so that's also part of what we're trying to offer in training these teachers and social workers in our methods. So this is just about the model, which I've explained. The teaching kitchen is not something that we invented. It's a model that we've adapted to our context, but it comes originally from a professor at Harvard, at the Harvard School of Public Health. So it's a research-based platform for mental health intervention, for physical health intervention, for life skills education. It's used in a lot of different contexts. There's teaching kitchens in Google offices. There's teaching kitchens in a lot of universities in the US. There's teaching kitchens mostly in North America. It hasn't come so much to the rest of the world still. Unfortunately, there's not yet, to my knowledge, a teaching kitchen in Miami, but that's something that I'm working on also with the Federation and with Josh Kliegler, who I think I saw joined in. And so we're hoping also to bring some of these models to Miami in a more on a more regular basis. This is just a little bit of a summary of some of our work during the war. So, we were able to reach over 200 residents of the Gaza border region who came in for those small group sessions. So these were people who came for at least a series of 4 sessions. At the beginning, we built it as a month-long program with 4 weekly sessions, because we said to ourselves, how long could they possibly be in Yeruham? It can't be that they're going to be here for more than a month. So, we'll build this program for 4 weeks. We were obviously wrong. So those were parents and children of all different ages that came in for these different groups. Over 1,000 participants in one-time baking sessions addressing different therapeutic goals, self-realization, social emotional learning, and then really this ability, this gift to be able to take funds that have come in part from the Federation and the Miami Partnership, in part from the municipality, from other sources, and really be able to direct those funds to the pockets of teachers and social workers who we have trained in skilled group facilitation in this way, which is, as we say, what we call it in Hebrew is zchut, which is kind of like a gift. I don't know exactly how to translate it, but it's really been our honor. I guess that's what it is. To be able to increase the salaries of these extremely underpaid and underappreciated, most valuable professionals that we have in our society. since the Gaza border residents have gone home, we've turned our attention to local schools. We are in the second year of a program working with the Yeruham area schools. We've had over 20 social emotional learning groups. So we work primarily with the local Yeruham truancy officer for the municipality. And she works in conjunction with the guidance counselor at each of the local schools to identify kids who are at risk. So not necessarily kids who are already not going to school, but it's really a prevention program for kids who are at risk of falling out of the mainstream school system. And they come into our kitchen for a semester-long program where each session is really designed according to the profile of that group. So we've had groups that have been entirely children of reserve officers, or groups of high schoolers who have a record, who have a police record, all kinds of different groups. And the program is adapted and customized in conjunction with the guidance counselor of the school and with professionals to suit the needs. And we're fortunate to be able to say that the second year of the program was renewed with actually additional budget because of the incredible impact and the positive reports that we got from students, from their parents, and also from the guidance counselors. And it's a program that we're expanding to other area schools. So we're starting it this year in the Ramat Negev region, which is just to the south of us. And hopefully next year in Neve Midbar Abu Talul, which is a municipality of primarily Bedouin communities to the east of us. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. This is our team, so it's not just me. I have two other wonderful, amazing women working with me, who both have extensive training in using the kitchen as an educational and emotional tool in group facilitation, and also deep, rich backgrounds in the world of education.
Maybe I'll just note that Betty Batsheva Ben Shimon, in a program we did last year with the MBJCC, we screened her movie that she had made about her grandma, Rahma. And Grandma Rahma was the name of the little film. And she was also there to answer questions. She was born and bred here in Yeruham, orphaned at an early age and raised by her grandma. And Adi, I know less about her life, so maybe you could say a few words about her bio. Betty is actually a very experienced and wonderful kindergarten teacher, in addition to what she does, amazing work at the Lehem.
Yeah, absolutely. And Adi also has a background in education and special education in particular at the elementary level, the elementary school level. I did remember that I skipped one important development that I wanted to share in relation to the Federation, which is that this year we're in the middle of a wonderful program with the partnership, which is enabling us to expose and train additional educators, both in Yeruham and in Miami, to our techniques and methods. So we're in the first year of a fellowship program. It's a pilot program that we're running. We had our first session about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And as we speak, basically the program is built that we have seminars, that we have group seminars, and then we have semi-independent learning in pairs, where each participant goes into their kitchen with the Zoom open in front of them and a guided presentation, and one of our facilitators joins them, and they experience what it's actually like to take the sort of academic concepts that we're relating to them and put it into action in their own kitchens. And so as we speak, one of the pairs is meeting with Betty, and
Aida.
doing that session.
¿Tú me puedes traer mi cartera?
Excuse
I'm gonna
me,
guess
I
that's
think you
not
have
for
to
me
move
because
the
I don't
slide
speak
along.
Spanish.
What? Wait, is there another slide though, dear?
What?
Is there
Oh no,
another slide?
no, it was really more. I wanted to talk about it with this slide.
Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we're really hopefully going to be able to expand this program in Yeruham as well with additional facilitators, and also hopefully bring it or something similar to Miami in the future, because we also have participants in this program that we've launched, in this educator training program from the Miami area. So that is also a huge endless thanks to the Federation and to the partnership.
Who are your partners in Miami? If you are just starting to get it off the ground now.
So Josh Kliegler is our partner for we've actually opened a nonprofit, and Josh and I opened a nonprofit in Miami to further these goals for the Miami community. And then we have teachers from the Miami area who are participating in our program. And so once they've finished them, they'll start introducing these programs into their schools. So.
Well, what a wonderful way to replicate more and more partnership activities. It's amazing.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah.
Perhaps there are
so
questions. I see a question in the chat, breakdown of boys and girls.
Okay, so that's an interesting question. I assume you mean in terms of like the populations that we're working with, less so in terms of the facilitators, right? So we actually have about a 50-50 breakdown in terms of the groups that we work with. And we have not yet started academic research, which we plan to do. In my second hat, I'm also a researcher at Bar Ilan and working to build a research institute there that investigates food as a tool for mental and physical health promotion. So we're planning to do research on some of these interventions to explore efficacy and like the mechanisms at work. But on an anecdotal level, I think that these programs are so powerful for boys, in some ways more powerful for boys, because boys are much less often given the space to have this type of multisensory engagement, the type of multisensory regulation that the kitchen offers, and are often, pushed into sports or things like that, which is wonderful, but doesn't necessarily offer the same platform for discussion, and they aren't given necessarily the same tools for discussion. So we often see amazing things coming out of these groups, the groups that of boys, and they're generally broken into single gender groups as well, which I think is quite important for the dynamic. Mathilde?
Thank you. I have just a comment and a question. A comment, yesterday we were interviewing candidates for the Shinshinin for Miami, and one of the girls, out of all the obstacles or challenges that she could envision, being away from her family for a year, living here from Israel, was that she was going to miss her mother's cooking. So the importance of food, and the relationship, the bond, everything that food represents, it's just, it's so fitting to this conversation. Last year, we had the opportunity to visit Ben Gurion, and they had this program with the kitchens. Dalia remembers the name because I'm horrible. Dalia,
The Food Lab.
The Food Lab. So
yeah, they're one of our partners as well.
Okay, so I just wanted to know if you are partnering, if they're coming to Yeruham, or you're going there, or how is it working?
Yeah, absolutely.
Also say a few words what it is, those who don't know.
And third, shout out to Josh, it's his birthday today.
Josh, happy birthday.
Okay, back to the program.
Yeah, well, that is
so the Food Lab is an amazing academic program that was started at Ben Gurion University with very much goals that are very much in sync with our goals. And I discovered the Food Lab because of the partnership. But just to show how much academia can be sort of work in silos, I was in the middle of doing my doctorate at Ben Gurion University in the public health department on mental health and community, which is where the Food Lab sits. And I did not know of its existence until the partnership connected us. Okay. So the main researchers from the Food Lab came to have a meeting at Lehem to learn about what we were doing. Among them, the head of the School of Public Health, who feels very passionately about about all of these topics. And so in that meeting, I said to him, it's nice to meet you. I'm a doctoral student in your program also. and we were really taken aback, and not taken aback, that's not the right word, but we were really overwhelmed to discover all of these similarities. And the component that they have is the component that we did not yet have, which was the academic component. And that was something that had always been on my agenda to introduce. So the Food Lab has become like one of our integral partners. We've done a pilot program with them. It was a little bit of a different program than our social emotional learning groups, but we did a pilot program with them already. Introducing the research component into the social emotional learning groups is a bit more complicated in terms of the ethics board approval that we have to undergo, because it involves youth that are talking about sensitive topics and et cetera. So it's a bit more of a process. It's just going to take us a bit more time. But when I mentioned the research that I'm doing at Bar Ilan, it's with the same people. So the head of the School of Public Health from Ben Gurion, who's the founder of the Food Lab, Nadav Davidovich, has moved to Bar Ilan to start a research institute there as well. And he's my supervisor there. So it's all very integrated and absolutely 100% on one of our main goals and integral to our vision is working together with them. And what we bring is the on the ground component, and what they bring is the research component. And I view myself as kind of the bridge between those two worlds.
Amazing. Are there additional questions or comments?
Hi, Ariel. Can you elaborate a little bit? I'm just curious about what you're doing with Josh here in Miami. The teachers that you've recruited, are they public school teachers? Are they day school teachers? And how many? I'm just curious, how many of you recruited?
Okay, so we don't have any public school teachers participating in the program, but there's an interesting diversity in terms of both people who are participating and people who were very, very interested in participating, and the timing didn't work out, but who certainly are interested in future rounds or in engaging with us in other ways and gaining skills in other ways, and then working together with us. So there's a number of day school teachers. We have the principal of a Chabad school in Hollywood, a Chabad boys school, apropos the question about boys. So she was extremely interested in bringing this as specifically to the boys in her school. And even more interesting, right, that it's like a very religious population of boys. So you wouldn't think that stereotypically, right, that would be something of interest, but she was extremely interested. We have a counselor who works like an informal education at both the University of Miami and, help me out, I've blanked on the name of the other university.
FIU.
At FIU, yeah. So she works actually in both institutions. And so she is interested in gaining she actually works out of, I believe that her facility there is actually like a converted apartment. So she has a kitchen space already. And she's really interested in integrating it into her practice and programming that she's doing for university students. So it's a really, really wide range. And in our program, we're focusing on like practice, on really the translation of these academic concepts to practice. And our Israeli group is similarly diverse. So there's a lot of discussion about what that might look like in all of these diverse contexts. What we're obligating them to, like based on their participation in our current program, is that basically they come out of the program with a capstone project, which is 2 sessions in their educational context. So once they've built those 2 sessions, then we hope that they'll have a good foundation and a good understanding of how to integrate this. And then part of my work together with Josh is obviously supporting them and figuring out how to carry that work forward in a way that's like customized to their particular educational context.
So in this pilot, סך הכל, all told, how many teachers do you have from both communities together?
From both communities together, we have 16.
Mm-hmm. And
And those are teachers who are willing to
commit.
commit. Yeah, and so, I mean, we had 50 applicants, I believe. So there was a huge amount of interest. Obviously, scheduling, you know, the specific dates, et cetera, it doesn't work for everyone, as we all know. But there was a huge amount of interest and a huge amount of desire and sort of thirst is really what I would call it, to gain these tools. This is a program that they're not, you know, they're not getting anything sort of formal from this, right? And they're certainly not being paid to participate. So thanks to the Federation, we were able to offer it to them at no cost, but they are not being paid to participate. So they are giving of their time. For the Israeli teachers, it's an evening that they're giving up. And for the American teachers, it's a Sunday that they're giving up in the middle of the day, which is even harder. And they really, really just want to gain these tools, and they're so excited. And the first seminar that we had was extremely interactive, a lot of comments, a lot of feedback. You can really feel like the excitement to be learning something that's new and innovative, and that, like, you know, that can change what they're doing in their classrooms.
This really sounds so exciting, Ariel, and wonderful.
Thanks, Debbie.
I just had a thought when Mittel, you were talking about the Shin young woman who was concerned about missing her mom's food, and I was suddenly thinking maybe, you know, just like we do between friends, we could trade recipes between our 2 communities, and maybe with Lehem Zeh, we could teach host families, people from the community in Miami, some of the traditional Yeruham foods, or whatever her origin is, the Shin candidate, teach those, and then maybe somehow you guys, maybe through MBJCC, we could do, you know, teach some Yeruham people. I don't know what you eat mostly in Miami. I mean, it was there several times, but I can't remember.
So
A lot of black beans and rice.
Black beans and rice.
Cuban. A lot of black beans and rice.
But last March, everybody in Miami was eating mufleta.
That's right.
Which is a special Moroccan pancake, and that was thanks to another program of the Federation, which brought myself and another one of our facilitators, Betty, the one that Debbie was speaking about, to Miami for a special Mimuna celebration, where we did exactly what you're saying,
No,
Debbie.
it was wonderful. And we're still talking about it here. Like, it's still like, it was had such a great impact. I think we had about 120, 130 people there. It was really a wonderful evening, and we need to do more like that. You know?
And Debbie, I think that at some point we had a program or an initiative of putting together like you know, like a cookbook, if you want to call it, of recipes from the, you know, community here. It's in Miami is so diverse, with the community in Yeruham, which is also very diverse, you know. So I have to find out what happened to that. Trees are somewhere there.
And the dream is still
Are
to
we-
open something, a little like small duhan, small little store in Miami Beach, JCC here, so we can sell delicious products of Yeruham like olive oil and tahina and dates and wine and everything that Yeruham has to offer, and the spreads that Ariel brought when she came to the Mimuna program, the delicious spreads that we were eating here from Lehem. So that's still a dream.
And maybe here in our Matnas in Yeruham, a little, maybe we should do like a pop-up, right, on one of the holidays when we have something to share here. You can send recipes, and maybe we can find someone at Lechem who could make them, or one of the culinary queens, and then share our food that way. I think food is a great connector, as you said. That was your vision, right? To bring people together again, and encourage the diversity, but also the sharing that would deepen understanding and acceptance and appreciation. I think
that
that's
would
why.
be great. That would be great.
Okay. So maybe after this Zoom, we'll talk more about it. There's a call open for proposals, right, for the partnership. So
Yeah, we do have to think about what we're going to do. So that's probably we're going to be putting our heads together very soon about that as well. So
Great.
that sounds wonderful.
Yeah. Ariel, this has been wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Any other questions? Last minute questions?
I have a question. I wonder, is it possible to get like video clips of these sessions? I'm curious to see how the kids interact and how the engagement is going.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have any professional video clips because we're a nonprofit that operates on a super duper tight budget. But we have like informal clips that we often send around. So I can send some of those to Danny, and he can send them out for sure.
Thank you. That would be great.
Ariel,
Just don't judge us on the cinematography.
Do you have social media, YouTube or website or Instagram?
Yeah, so that's really a great place to see some clips. So they don't go super in depth, but if you follow us on Instagram or on Facebook, we do post short clips there. So you can search for us, Lehem and follow us there. Definitely. Thanks for pointing that out, Danny.
Yeah. Oh, no problem.
There's also a limit, like how much you can show the kids, right? The parents have to agree if they're underage. So maybe the posts that you do on Facebook are better than sending it out individually. I don't know.
Yeah. So the clips for sure, the clips that I send are not with the like social emotional learning groups, but more from like the one-time sessions that we do, which are really more sort of exposure to this type of work and like an initial understanding of how we can do a shift in the way that we think about food. So you can see some of the ideas without necessarily seeing the emotionally sensitive components.
Okay.
That's
great. Wonderful.
And it's going to make you extremely hungry.
Yes.
That's a good thing too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
you guys for what, breakfast or lunch, and us for
right. So we're
supper.
we're going to be Aruchat Eser in a little while, and we're actually we're already past that. But in any case, Aruchat Chadesrei. So first of all, Debbie Golan, Atid B'Midbar, thank you very much for organizing all this, and of course the Yeruham Miami partnership too. And I'm not going to name names, but if any of you are on the steering committee here for the partnership, thank you all so much. I know a couple people, but I don't want to skip anybody, so I'm not going to name names, but thank you very much. And especially Ariel, thank you for joining us today. And we learned a lot more about the amazing work that you're doing. And by the way, if anybody wants to go off-roading in a minivan around Yeruham, Ariel is the person. So
what Danny means to say is that I almost got him killed in a trench.
No, I felt safe. I felt completely safe.
We can't wait to see you girls in April.
Wonderful. Looking forward. Great.
God willing.
All right. Wonderful.
Great.
Once again, Ariel Pollock from Pollock Star from Lechem Zeh. Thank you so much. Thank you, Debbie Golan from Atid
Thank you,
B'Midbar,
Danny.
and
Thanks,
everybody
Noam.
else. It was great. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so
Carol.
much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Ariel.